secrets ride the waves. Coated s'mores and sugar limes, children's toys with devil's eyes. A ghost train drags the truth to hell. He's ringing that dead man's bell. Blackpool lights, they flicker and fade. Spies and sinners in the masquerade. He deals in shadows sweet like sin. The Candyman's game, and no one wins. Oh, no one wins. Beneath the pier, the deal goes down. Dressed to kill in a seaside town. Cotton candy, blood and steel. He spins the wheel, he makes you kneel. You thought you'd find romance or gold, but love is lethal when it's cold. This town don't care, this town don't cry. It sings your name before you die. Blackpool lights, they dance in vain, coated in tears and drenched in rain. The big wheel turns, the darkness grins, the Candyman's game, and no one wins. No one wins in Blackpool's wind. Not even Bond escapes that spin.
Hello there, it's Wilshi here bringing you a brand new and unique James Bond story. James Bond, Blackpool Lights by Wilshi Eckerslyke. A full-length James Bond story in 6 parts. Chapter 1, Fog on the Golden Mile. Blackpool at midnight was a thing of strange beauty. The lights of the tower blinked like a broken beacon, lost in the mist rolling in from the sea. The promenade was nearly empty, just chip wrappers dancing in the wind and the slow churn of the tide. James Bond didn't like carnivals. He never had. The artificial joy, the forced cheer. It reminded him of funerals with clowns. Still, here he was, back in Britain's seaside playground, chasing whispers of a smuggling ring operating under the guise of amusements and sweets. MI6 had intercepted a signal, encrypted, Russian dialect, pinging from beneath the pleasure beach. Weapons, they suspected, but Q's briefing had gone further. They call him the Candyman. 707Q had said. Runs everything from rigged slot machines to black market mind control tech. Mind control? Bond had raised an eyebrow. Neural dampeners, Q replied. Devices that suppress emotional response. Anger, resistance, civil unrest. Imagine dropping one into a crowd of protesters. They'd go quiet, obedient, docile. Bond took the file. And where do I find him? He lives in the shadow of the tower. But you'll find him where the mirrors are warped. Nothing is quite what it seems. That was 12 hours ago. Now Bond was here. The last place he thought he'd be. Blackpool. Chapter 2. The Pleasure Beach Murders. The Pleasure Beach looked innocent enough by day. Candy floss machines churned sticky pink clouds. Families queued for the Big Dipper. Old men snored in striped deck chairs. But Bond was watching, and he'd spotted a pattern. Men in security jackets that didn't match the park's uniform. Crates being offloaded into maintenance doors behind the log flume. Surveillance cameras that weren't plugged in. He followed one of the men into the old wild mouse ride, closed for decades, supposedly condemned. Inside, beneath the broken tracks, a secret hatch, a tunnel, and beneath it an underground maze of smuggling routes. What he found chilled him. Racks of teddy bears with Kevlar linings, stalls full of stuffed unicorns with tiny silencer pistols stitched into their heads, and in a refrigerated room, a prototype dampener the size of a shoebox, pulsing with soft blue light. As Bond examined it, he felt a pressure on the back of his neck. "Don't touch that," said a woman's voice. Bond turned as she wore a red raincoat, black boots, and carried a knife. "Delilah Rain, Interpol deep cover. Missing for 3 weeks. "You're early," she said, lowering the knife. "You're lucky I'm late," Bond replied. "I've just found the reason MI6 sent me." She frowned. "That's not the worst of it. He's planning a live demonstration tonight. On the pier." Bond sighed. Of course he was. Chapter 3, The Candyman Can. He was charming, that was the problem. The Candyman wore a pastel suit and spoke with the voice of a late-night radio DJ. He handed out rock sticks laced with LSD. He controlled half of Blackpool's underworld and posed for photos with kids at the duck pond. Bond watched him from a booth on the central pier, sipping weak lager and listening to the man's voice through a tiny receiver clipped to the underside of a fake stall. Candyman was addressing buyers from Belarus, Syria, and a rogue Silicon Valley developer. "This is more than a device," he said. "This is influence. Imagine walking into a war zone and making it quiet. One switch, one pulse. Your enemies lose the will to fight." He placed the dampener on the table. "Let me show you." Bond saw Delilah move into position. She had a small EMP grenade tucked into her sleeve. But before she could act, "We have a guest," Candyman said softly. He looked directly at Bond's hidden camera. Bond stood. The trap had sprung. Lights exploded above the pier. Music kicked in, twisted carnival tunes remixed with war drums. Men in clown masks surged from behind booths with automatic rifles. "Ladies and gentlemen," Candyman called, "welcome to the last fun fair of your life." Chapter 4, The Big One. The chase began on the tracks of the Big One, Blackpool's tallest coaster. Candyman fled in a custom cart. Bond followed, strapped to the front of another, armed with only a suppressed pistol and a hand grenade. Delilah hacked the ride from below, switching tracks, changing speed. The coaster became a battlefield in the sky. Wind howled, shots cracked. Bond leapt from cart to cart like a madman, firing into shadows. One of Candyman's guards screamed as he fell to his death near the Pepsi Max billboard. The final cart smashed through the tunnel exit and skidded onto the roof of the casino. Candyman tried to flee. Bond caught him and they fought on the rooftop, fists slamming into plaster statues and neon signs. Candyman swung a crowbar. Bond ducked, elbowed him in the ribs, and drew his knife. "You know," Candyman hissed, "people like me. You're just another ghost in a suit." Bond didn't answer. He kicked him, hard. Candyman flew backward, landing with a crunch on the giant plastic donkey in the amusement park entrance below. Dead. Chapter 5, End of the Pier. With the Candyman dead, the weapon sold to the Russians was still in play. Delilah and Bond hunted it through the arcades, dodging slot machines rigged with traps, claw arms swinging down like guillotines. In the back of a fortune teller booth sat the device, armed, countdown blinking. 60 seconds. Bond worked fast, sweat running down his brow. Delilah held off guards at the door, firing with a pistol retrieved from a hooker duck stand. 30 seconds, James. Bond traced the wiring, red to blue, green to white. He pulled the final wire. The light died. Outside, and police sirens finally echoed across the beach. Too late. Always too late. Chapter 6. Blackpool Lights. A day later, Bond sat alone in a fish and chip shop near the tower. Grease paper on the table, the smell of vinegar in the air. Delilah joined him, her face bruised, hair in a bun. They've cleared the tunnels. MI6 is taking credit, of course. Bond shrugged. Let them. We did the job. She sat down. Do you ever stop? He took a bite of his haddock. No. A silence, then she smiled. Salt? He handed her the shaker. She sprinkled it generously. Bond raised his eyes to the promenade. The lights were coming on, flashing red, blue, gold. 1,000 lies told in electric colour. But beneath it all, just for a moment, Blackpool seemed honest. And that was enough. Well, I hope that everyone enjoyed my story. It wasn't easy writing a Bond story set in Blackpool. As usual, please like, comment, subscribe, and remember, at Zains007Fancast, we do it better. The story unfolds in Blackpool, Britain's seaside resort town, where James Bond finds himself investigating a sinister operation beneath the carnival atmosphere. The narrative masterfully contrasts the town's gaudy entertainment facade with dark criminal undertones, opening with Bond's arrival at midnight as the famous Blackpool Tower pierces through dense coastal fog, its lights blinking like a broken beacon through the seaside mist. MI6 has intercepted encrypted Russian communications beneath the pleasure beach, leading Bond to investigate a figure known as the Candyman. During his briefing, Q explains that this criminal mastermind operates everything from rigged gambling operations to sophisticated mind control technology. The neural dampeners are particularly concerning. Devices capable of suppressing emotional responses, resistance, and civil unrest, effectively turning protesters docile and compliant with a single activation. Bond's investigation reveals the pleasure beach's sinister underbelly through careful observation of suspicious patterns, security personnel wearing non-standard uniforms, mysterious crates deliveries behind the log flume, and surveillance cameras that serve no actual function. Following, one suspicious guard leads him to the abandoned Wild Mouse ride, where he discovers an elaborate underground tunnel network beneath the supposedly condemned structure. The smuggling operation proves more sophisticated than initially suspected. Bond uncovers an arsenal disguised as carnival prizes, teddy bears with Kevlar linings, and stuffed unicorns concealing silenced pistols. In a refrigerated chamber, he finds a prototype neural dampener, glowing with an ominous blue light. And this discovery leads to his encounter with Delilah Rain, an Interpol agent who's been missing for 3 weeks while working undercover. She reveals the Candyman's plans for a live demonstration of the technology on the pier that very night. The Candyman himself presents a uniquely disturbing villain, a man who hands out LSD-laced rock candy while controlling Blackpool's criminal underground, all while maintaining a cheerful public persona. During a sales presentation to buyers from Belarus, Syria, and a rogue Silicon Valley developer, he promotes the dampener as a weapon of influence capable of pacifying entire conflict zones. The demonstration turns into a trap for Bond, with the pier erupting into chaos as armed men in clown masks emerge to the soundtrack of twisted carnival music mixed with war drums. A spectacular chase sequence unfolds on the big one, Blackpool's tallest roller coaster, with Bond pursuing the Candyman through a series of death-defying manoeuvres. Delilah provides crucial support by manipulating the track controls from below, while Bond leaps between carts, engaging in gunfire with the Candyman's guards. The pursuit culminates in a rooftop fight at the casino, where Bond's combat skills prove superior, ending with the Candyman's fatal fall onto a decorative donkey statue at the amusement park entrance. The story's tension peaks in the arcades, where Bond and Delilah must locate and disarm a neural dampener before its activation. The scene transforms familiar arcade attractions into deadly obstacles. Slot machines become traps, and claw games transform into lethal weapons. Working against a 60-second countdown, Bond methodically traces and disconnects the device's wiring, while Delilah holds off approaching guards using a pistol she retrieved from a hooker-duck stand. The narrative's conclusion brings a moment of quiet reflection in a local chip shop, where Bond and Delilah discuss the aftermath of their mission. The tunnels have been cleared, and MI6 has claimed credit for the operation. The final image of Blackpool's lights illuminating the promenade, described as 1,000 lies told in electric colour, serves as a poetic metaphor for the story's themes of deception and appearance versus reality. This unique take on James Bond effectively leverages Blackpool's distinctive character to create an atmosphere where entertainment and danger intertwine. The story successfully incorporates traditional Bond elements, advanced technology, international intrigue, and high-stakes action, while grounding them in an unexpected British seaside location. The neural dampener plot device cleverly mirrors the story's setting, both dealing with the manipulation of emotions and the contrast between surface appearance and hidden reality. The author demonstrates particular skill in crafting action sequences, especially during the rollercoaster chase and the arcade finale. The characterisation of the Candyman as a villain who weaponises carnival entertainment adds thematic depth to the narrative. The partnership between Bond and Delilah Rain is well developed, providing both tactical support and emotional resonance to the story. The integration of local landmarks and attractions into the plot demonstrates careful attention to setting details, making Blackpool itself feel like a crucial character in the narrative. From the iconic Blackpool Tower to the Pleasure Beach attractions, each location serves both the story's atmosphere and its action sequences. The transformation of familiar holiday attractions into venues for espionage and combat creates a unique tension between the familiar and the dangerous, perfectly suited to a James Bond adventure.
Underneath the candy sky, neon dreams and alibis, hearts get lost down alleyways where secrets ride the waves, coated s'mores and sugar lies, children's toys with devil's eyes. A ghost train drags the truth to hell. He's ringing that dead man's bell. Blackpool lights, they flicker and fade. Spies and sinners in the masquerade. He deals in shadows sweet like sin. The Candyman's game, and no one wins. Oh, no one wins. Beneath the pier, the deal goes down. Dressed to kill in a seaside town. Cotton candy, blood and steel. He spins the wheel, he makes you kneel. You thought you'd